Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Past the Wire TV. Tonight, we are joined by one of the, I hate to say best female riders, because to me, a rider is a rider. But if we're going to break it down that way, without a doubt, one of the best female riders ever to ride races, Chantal Southerland, who was away from the game, or at least not riding for a little while, has started riding again. And has had, quite a career. So Chantal, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to Past the Wire TV.
Well, thank you. And it's an honor to be on Past the Wire TV. I'm very grateful.
When did you start riding again? I noticed at Gulfstream a couple of weeks ago, you started taking calls again and riding. What led to that?
So I was riding in Kentucky and it was tough. And Kentucky is a very traditional state, and I do love Kentucky. It's got some fantastic golf. I've met some really cool people, but it was a bit of a struggle. And I was going to stay for the winter at Turfway Park. I rode for maybe 2 days, and I said, I've frozen long enough in my life, having ridden in Canada. And I went and visited Corey in Florida at Gulfstream. And I said, I used to ride here and I would love to ride here again, but because of COVID, if you didn't establish yourself before December, they wouldn't let you ride till April. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to take the winter and just work for Kenny McPeak. And I galloped and breezed for him all winter, had a great time getting fit and getting back into it, enjoying my time off. And then as soon as April started, I was able to ride. Now I've got my vaccine and I can go start getting on the backside Friday. So I think that will help as well with my business. And I ran along and I got a really good agent, John Salamoni, and Corey Lanerie picked him out for me. I think he was planning on me coming back to Kentucky, but when this opportunity came up with Florida, I really wanted to try it. So this is where we're at.
I live in Florida, but on the other coast, I'm on the southwest corner of the state. So I'd be the first to say you can't beat the weather.
Florida is amazing. The weather. I do love the culture. I love the Spanish culture. I'm learning Spanish right now. Right. And I also love just that they're open to females, and it's just you're a good rider. And I love Gulfstream. It's got a great jocks room, and for the most part, the guys have been amazing with me. So it's going really well. I'm happy.
The one thing I never understood about the new Gulfstream, I was a fan of the old Gulfstream, and I'm a fan of the new one. I think it's actually one of the most beautiful facilities. When you go there, the racetrack is really nice. I never understood, and I guess maybe because of the crowds, but I always thought if they made it bigger, it's like such an ideal Breeders' Cup host track. But the way they've made it so small, how can they ever do it? And that's my one question about the planning that went into that.
No, it's a great question, but I know they're gunning for the Breeders' Cup because now they're going to put in that poly track.
Right.
And this might be the next greatest facility for racing, because not only has it got the poly track that the Europeans love, it's got the turf course, the dirt course. And they're going to start, they're talking about putting in some sort of things for horses to have shade on post parade, which is fantastic. I did mention to them, when you're at a bar, at a restaurant, and you have those misters.
Yes.
They could have those on the sides of the rail for the horses. I think PETA would love that. And I think it's a great spot. And I love that, they have all the shops for the ladies and people who want to do that when other people are watching racing. And then they got the casino.
Right.
It's awesome.
And then you have that nice weather year round. And so you're going to have, I got to meet you when you were out in California and you were riding in Santa Anita and Del Mar, and you had a nice run there. it was a pleasure to get to work with you too. You rode some horses for me, and I always liked when you rode because you were such a horsewoman. It's male or female. It doesn't. I think at the end of the day, when you can come back and give trainers feedback like you do on horses, and sometimes you'd work horses and give great feedback as well. And I remember one time we worked a horsing company, you and another rider, and you came back and you told me, man, that other horse was so trusting, because we got behind some other horses and that horse's eyes were just covered in mud and he couldn't see, but he just kept running and he trusted that rider so much. So that was one of the interesting stories that you came back from morning workouts. It was just really cool. But anytime we work together, I mean, I just really like that, you're the way you were with horses and still are. But so I'm glad to see that you're back riding, doing what you like, and, doing your thing.
Well, thank you. And it was a pleasure riding for you. You're a true horseman and you really do so great by your horses. And, we don't always get the greatest horses, but what you did with what you had was amazing. And I love riding for you. And I always knew that they came to the paddock ready. Your horses looked amazing. I loved riding for you. And I did like working with you in the mornings because I do like working horses. I think it's a huge advantage. I love and I miss California. I don't miss the traffic and all that other stuff, but it's such a beautiful track, and I hope that it's been tough for California too. That's probably why I left, to come here. And I wasn't sure, when this whole COVID thing happened and I wasn't getting a lot of mounts, do I really love racing? And when I started working for Kenny McPeak, I'm like, no, this is what I want to do. This is I want to do it as long as I can for as short a time I can, because everybody knows our window for riding isn't forever. But I know that I have to be super fit, and I've been working out like crazy, and I just love how fit and strong and healthy I am right now, and it feels good, and it feels so amazing to ride again and to ride live horses and to actually be in it. And people say, well, why don't you ride? And it doesn't matter if it's 30-1 or 40-1. I'm like, do you like to go play golf with a baseball bat? No, you need to play with like clubs. You can't, it's not fun going in it if you don't have something like that you can do something with. And, I'm so happy and so grateful to be on live horses again.
We've recently seen a lot of jockeys, leave California because the field size have gotten smaller and they've gone to the Midwest, Kentucky, Oakland, some places like that. We did lose some good jockeys like Rafael Bejarano, Joe Talamo, Martin Garcia, and they're in the Midwest. And some of these tracks have really good purses and they have big field size. Oftentimes with these big purses, you have 12-horse fields. So that gives them more opportunity. And unfortunately in California, we've gotten to 3 days a week racing at Santa Anita, and a lot of these other tracks are at 5 days a week. So I could see why you would want to go to, and still nice weather, definitely made sense, to leave Turfway when, just what you said, like a trainer, a jockey's agent, you want to be on live horses. You want to be where you can be competitive because it's just so much more fun that way.
Yes. And getting back to your whole thing about, Florida, maybe possibly getting the Breeders' Cup. They also, like Kentucky, Churchill, they have the ability to increase the purses. Churchill has that, the casino. So does Gulfstream, but it's the way that they're putting it back. And they really need to, and I would say this to Gulfstream, they need to give back to the horsemen. The horsemen, the trainers need that whatever trickle money from the casino, and whether they have to go through the HPBA or make it work, but that's really an important part. If you give back to the horsemen, then the sport will flourish. It's trainers need that extra money in the purses for jockeys too, and it would be the most premier meet in the world. Who wants to travel? You get one spot to live all the time.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice for you in Florida not to have to move and just be able to ride there year round. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm a gypsy. I feel like people call me carny, like I'm a carnival person. But that's our life, is like we live out of a suitcase. Unless you're Johnny V and you have 3 houses and all the 3 different meats, forget about it.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the toughest parts of the job, just moving around from meet to meet, and then by the time you settle, it's time to already go somewhere else.
Yeah. And people with kids, like I don't have any
Oh.
kids, but I have a bonus daughter, which is Corey's daughter.
Uh-huh.
And oh my God, does that tie you down or what? It's major. So
From following your career, I always knew that you were very big into fitness. And one of the things I've always wondered that riders have said to me, but have never really explained that where I could understand it is, you get on horses a lot in the morning, you go to the gym, you maintain your fitness, you're really, really fit. Okay. Probably pound for pound as strong and as fit as any athlete out there. But then they'll say like, well, but I'm not really riding fit. When I go ride a race, it's like totally different. Like, what's that difference like if you're fit? Yeah, I know, but I've never been able to understand what the difference is. So can you explain that?
What sports have you played in your life?
I've played basketball, baseball. I swim a lot, and even now I'm probably fitter now. I'm 59. I ride a Peloton for a couple of hours every day.
Okay, so there you go.
I'm really fit, but
the feeling on the Peloton when you've gone like, when they're trying to get to your max and you're like going super and you're completely out of breath and even when you play basketball, like you need to stop for a sec. Okay, it's that max times 5 more to the point where you either throw up. And with us, because if you aren't fit, racing fit, it's painful. Like after when you pull up, you're not only gasping for air, it's such an uncomfortable, because you have to, you can't fall off. So it's like, it's ride or die. And it's a different kind of fitness. And once you get, like when I went back, I was race riding fit for 1 or 2. Then it was another week, it was 4. Then it was 5, 6. And now I'm racing fit for 7, 8. But if you were to give me right now 12 or 13, I'm telling you, I'm going to go home with my, my head down.
So it's that intense.
It takes time. Yeah, no, I'm like, and I can feel it when I play golf too. I can feel it when I walk so much stronger. I get up earlier and, I always work out, but once you get that racing, even in the morning working for Kenny, I was getting fitter. And then now I'm racing fit. Now I'm the fittest I need to be, but I could still be a little more that if I was coming down the lane with Corey Lanerie, I'd be like, I got him. But I'm fitter than, I'd say I'm as fit as 95% of the jocks. And some aren't as fit as me, but I know where I need to be for my head.
Right. I'm glad you brought Corey up because there's another interesting thing going on in racing, and I'm sure you're aware of it, with Trevor McCarthy and Katie Davis, who got married.
Yeah.
And Naira decided, and I just can't understand the logic that they can't ride unless they're coupled, which is an obvious hindrance to trainers, their careers, and everything else. But Jose Ortiz and Irad Ortiz, who are brothers, they can ride together. I don't understand that.
What a great point you brought up. It's like beyond awesome. And when I was dating Mike Smith as well, we weren't married, so they, didn't stop us. And we did go into the stewards and they did talk about it, because I did speak to Mike in a race, and all the other jockeys had said, hey, they're talking to each other. But I also talk to my friends in a race too. When I need out, and I've learned, make friends, because everybody, you're going to need out. And right now, I love Paco Lopez and Edwin Gonzalez. I'm making friends. I don't want to make enemies. And it's unfortunate that they love each other. They got married, and now they're going to say that they can't, they have to be an entry. It's so unfair. And Jose and Irad are just as close, if not closer. I think then a nail on the head. I think that's not fair. And if you're going to do that to them, I don't know how you do it to Jose and Irad, because they're brothers. They don't live at the same address, but that's family. And if family's family, then make that rule for them too.
Right. And it gets,
or take it off.
It gets even deeper than that, because if you're going to judge that as a conflict, okay, what about trainers that are related and owners that are related that had it never ends if you're gonna, if
Not
you're
right.
isolating that, it never ends, so I just
I
couldn't
agree. And you know
understand
what?
that move.
They are really hurting their livelihood by
No
doing this.
question about it. No
I
question
understand. I
about
feel
it.
bad. And they're nice people.
And
Yeah,
now,
no.
actually, Trevor McCarthy's going to make his way out to Santa Anita. He's going to
I
be,
saw that.
yeah, he's going to be represented by Flavian Pratt's former agent, Derek Lawson. And then I just read on Facebook that Katie is expecting their first child. So she's
Wow.
going to be probably not
Oh,
race
wow.
riding for a while. So, that's.
Well, I can tell you this, Corey and I are not getting married anytime soon.
Nah.
I would advise anyone, don't get married if you're, in the game.
There you go. You've been there, done that, and done some other things off the track as well, which I think will bode well for your career when you get enough. You'll know when it's time to walk away, I think, from racing. But right now, I can hear it in your voice that you still have a lot left in you to get out there on the track and give it your all. And I'm very happy for you that you went somewhere where you can get the opportunity, because nothing, as you know, the window is only so big, and you want to be, as healthy. You're only, one spill away from not being able to do it. But while you are still healthy and young enough to do it, you should ride until you don't want to do it anymore. And so I'm glad you're getting the opportunity. And, Florida looks like a great place to really build the business and just keep it going.
Thank you. And I knew there was a day that I got on the track and I was riding in a race, and one of the other jocks was making it super tight on me on the rail. And he even bounced me off it a couple times. And when, like if you're boxing or you're playing a sport, it was like, not that I loved the abuse, but I was like, I loved it. I was like, yeah, bring it on. And I think he was waiting for me to like squeal or, say, hey, it's too tight. But I'm like, no, bring it. I can handle myself. I got this. And I was like, wow, I didn't know I was so, it's not that I'm angry, but I love the heat of the battle. And I have so much passion for the game. And the horse that I was on was so brave. And it was just like, I love this sport. I love being in it. And I wish that we could wear, the GoPros on our head. And I did that for one of the works with Kenny McPeak's horse on Crazy Beautiful. And if you could see and just feel what we feel in the conversations and just like the closeness of us, and have the camera on the front, but the side and the back. And I even was talking to some people at Gulfstream, and I love they can make an app where, how at Santa Anita they have the wall of TVs. They could have each jockey. You can go on your app on your phone and pick whatever jockey you want to follow or be on in the race and go with them. And it's 3D, and you get to see what it's like. And the stewards were like, well, what if it's a different inquiry than what we saw? I'm like, flag on the play, like in football, make it more exciting for the handicap or the bettor, or even just the fans, because this next generation, that's what they're about. They want to see,
great
feel,
idea.
and touch.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And so hopefully I'm going to do some more meetings with Gulfstream, and it's so doable.
And that's let me tell you, as a fan and a bettor, that's something I think people would absolutely embrace, and is the kind of thing that our sport needs to, promote itself.
Pick it up. We need to we need a little more freshness to it. And especially on the grass courses, because there's no dirt coming back, you can see, and the cameras won't get dirty. But like the other day, I was riding for this New York trainer, and he's a very successful trainer. And we got off after the race, and he's like, yo, Chantal, so, I saw you ride this race, and the first part of the race was good. Second part of the race was really good. But then the last part, I don't know, it didn't look like you were trying. And I'm like, it didn't look like I was trying. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see your arms moving so much. It didn't look like you were trying. And I said, trying. Okay, well, I'm trying. And I was third between Paco and Joe Bravo. Just got beaten a dirty nose. I wish you could be on the horse to see how much I was trying and how gutsy it was to go in between the two of those riders in a race. And if you could just see, he'd be like, oh, I could see you were trying. But it's funny how you see from a different angle, and it's so far away. Could you imagine what it would feel like to see what we see? And when we get so close to other horses. But I wish
I know
I trained with that
as a
day.
trainer, I go back and watch the replay of the race, and then I oftentimes find that when I watch the head on, you see so much more than the pan
Yeah.
view, because the start, the middle of the race, and even coming home, wherever the traffic may be, and you definitely, until you're out there and doing it, you need to have compassion for the horse and the jockey in those situations. So yes, definitely.
TV doesn't do a race justice. It really doesn't. And I'll tell you, when I was very young, and I used to sneak to Aqueduct Racetrack, okay? And I was too young to get in. There was a hole in the fence right about a little more than midway at the far turn where they were rounding into the stretch. And what I used to do is I used to have people go in and bet for me and bring me out the tickets, and I would scratch down, and there's probably old Aqueduct replays that you could see some little stupid kid sticking his hole in a fence, and it's me. But let me tell you something. The interesting thing kind of ties back to what you said. I got a whole different complexion of racing than I did watching on TV. Because watching on TV, it's almost like you're watching a show and you don't realize it. When they passed me turning for home, okay, I heard these jockeys yelling at each other, cursing at each other. Hey, get out of the way, give me room. Hey, all kinds of stuff. I could see some of the horses gasping for air, and I knew they weren't going to finish because I could just tell the way they passed me, they were exhausted. I could see some just kind of getting strong, and it was just a whole different complexion. And it reminded me of the first time I ever went to a fight ringside. I watched a million boxing matches on TV, and it looks like a show. And then you go sit ringside and you realize it's a fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even too, like you said, you can feel the energy.
Exactly.
When you were with us on the backside, you don't hear the crowd or the announcer. But then when you come around the quarter pole, it opens up and you can hear it. And then also, I've had horses breathing in my ear because they're right beside you. And I've had a horse try to bite my foot, and there's nothing you can do. You just got to keep riding because they want to pull you back. And just all the crazy, wonderful things that happen in a race that makes us addicted to the game. But yeah, I wish I'm going to work on it with Gulfstream. Hopefully I can make it happen.
And hopefully you can get, like you said, maybe a fisheye or that 360, 180 degree where it's more than, because I don't think that head-on view of jockeys, it just looks like the horse is going up and down. It used to be fun, but now that things are so much, like you said, they're like game oriented. I think that if you could get a little wider view, it'll give a much more perspective. But the sounds are always good too, that what you hear. And like at Del Mar, they have these stands when you go down the back. Well, for morning viewing, there's these stands on the backside. So there's one at the half-mile pole and one at the 5.5, and people stand there. But when the races are on, if you sit there and you watch the horses go down the backside, all you hear is dirt getting pelted on the other jockeys in the back, and it's silent, and then you just hear all this. And you're like, my God, if I was a horse, I wouldn't run into that dirt like that. And then all of a sudden, just like you said, if you watch a race from the quarter pole, boy, that's where the winning and losing happens. But so many times you can see those horses are just out of gas and they're done,
Yeah.
You're very articulate. So I'm hoping you can explain this in a way that the average person could understand, because it's something I've always wanted to understand, but never having been on a horse, it's hard. But sometimes a rider will get off a horse, even an exercise rider or a rider in the morning, and they'll be like, wow, just all class. This horse just is steak horse. You know what I mean? Or, sometimes you get on a horse in the morning, or and you just know that they are just a class horse and just going to be real good. What is it that you feel or see that differentiates that, where you can get off a horse and say, hey, this is a real nice horse? Like, what is
it? I'll give you three things. There's like a checklist that I have in my brain when I get on a horse, even on post parade, because we don't know the horses right away. And so I will, when you leg me up on your horse, the horse's walk, when you're maybe when you're on a swing, if the swing was doing it itself, it's a walk that has it's got like a glide, and it makes you kind of move without even, you're just sitting there and it moves you by itself. That's a very good walk. That's a strong walk already. I know that's okay. Check mark. Good. When they don't walk like that and they don't do it, it's definitely, it's not a good sign. Okay. And then I notice, I look at the horse's coat, and if it's shiny, if they're dappled, and also the strength, the hardness in their neck, that is a huge sign of their fitness level. And then also how they're handling all the other horses in the ring. They're sweating or they're panicking. And it's just like people, like when you meet someone and they're nervous or they're super confident, very calm in a situation. So that's getting to know them. And then I would say when you feel that class that you're talking about, you know, when you're in a boat, have you ever been in a really like a dinghy, like, and you're trying to get on plane, it takes a little while, and then you kind of get on plane and it's like, you know, you're hitting waves, but then you get on a badass boat and it's like, it's got power, and then boom, you're on plane. Right. That's like when you're on a horse, you come out of the gate, and that feeling when it's just like getting on plane so easy and you're just gliding. Like it's not so hard to get there. It's just effortless. And then also when they switch their leads, you can't even feel it. And that always is a huge signal to me, like this horse is really, it's just, they just talented, they're athletic. They have that already. And then also when you're on a really classy horse, you think go, you don't even have to move. And these, they just go. It's like maybe driving a Ferrari compared to like a Corvette. They're both great, but one's got a little more touch than the other, or the comparison to a Ferrari or a Toyota.
Right.
Who was the best horse you've ever ridden in Canada or the US?
Hang on 2 seconds. What? You want to come say hi? Yeah, you still on there? Yeah, Corey wants to say hi. Come here.
No problem.
We're just talking about how can you tell the class of a horse.
Hey, Corey.
Hi, Corey. Jeff Metz and John Stettin with Pass the Wire TV. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good.
Good. Nice to have you. You could sit in. You could sit in if you want. You're more than welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fine. I just want to say hi. I was just checking on it in a while. So
2 champion jockeys at once. How's that?
Yeah,
that's excellent.
That's right.
Excellent.
You get 2 for 1.
We were asking Chantal what it feels like. What it feels like when you're on just a horse that just exudes class, where you know, just sitting on that horse or getting on that horse in the morning before he's ever raced, you know, what it is you feel that you know, hey, this one's different, this one's special. So what is that to you? What is that feeling to you? How is that?
I actually walked in while she was explaining that, and she did a pretty good job. It's like when it's like driving a station wagon and then you get in a Ferrari. You know, they're all about the same, but one handles a little bit better, and just kind of, you know, it's just a lot more comfortable and might act a little better, have a little more class. You know, it's not like a little kid, like a little punk. You know, he's got his mind on business.
They'll both get you there. They'll both get you there, but one will get you there a lot faster.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And they have different gears. You can idle, you can go, you can wait, you can go again. They'll squeeze through a hole. Then you got a reel.
The other thing that you said about, you know, some of those top class horses, they're so athletic and their movement and their stride is so cat-like and athletic that if you do get in a jam, you can actually start and stop, which the average horse cannot do that because they're just so, you know, they're not as coordinated as some of those top class horses. And, you know, you can get stopped, re-rally and come on again, but your average everyday horse, I don't think can always do that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's a big difference in a race when you've got a large field of horses. You need to be able to maneuver. And if you don't have that, then you have to study that. Like if you have a big plotter, you know, you gotta try and pick where you're going to be so you don't have to get in trouble. Because when getting in trouble is probably the number one thing why we get beat.
You know, one of the things I always think is besides the physical aspect, okay, which we know how tough a rider's life is physically, okay, and how much you guys and gals sacrifice physically to be riders and have that career. But a lot of it is mental too. There's a lot of mental preparation. And one of the things I always kind of irks me as a student of the game and fan of the game is you guys take a lot of heat from bettors, and especially now that we have social media and people can just get access to you. I mean, you guys take a lot of heat from people who have, you know, never missed a meal, let alone sat on 1,000-pound animal and try and steer it, and they'll critique little things that you guys do and split-second decisions like they could do it better. And that frustrates me because I think, it's tough to put up with that, but I guess it's part of the game, whether it should or shouldn't be. But my question is this: how accurate do riders actually know the pace of a race? Like if you're in a 1.25 mile race on the grass, okay, and you're 4 or 5 lengths off the lead, do you actually have an idea of what the quarter and the half is of the horse in front and your horse? Or are you just riding, watching the race? Like we obviously have the luxury of watching a clock, assuming that it's accurate. Sometimes now they say even the clocks aren't accurate, but you guys don't have that. You're, just riding, in a competitive atmosphere. How close do you know the fractions and the half and the quarter and the 3/4?
Well, I mean, you know when they're going really slow or whatever, but sometimes if you're on, like, say, a cheaper horse, it'll feel like you're going 22 and change,
right?
And you're going 24 and 4.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's hard to judge that. I don't like to judge how fast I'm going. I like to judge how much work my horse is putting into it. Like you look at the Derby this year.
Right.
I mean, the winner went, 22 and change and 46. It's too fast. But guess what?
Right.
He was doing it easy. That was easy for him.
Right.
So it wasn't too fast.
And also too,
so you have to feel your horse and the energy they're putting into those fractions.
And also another part too is like if you have a horse that gets on the lead alone with no pressure, they're always going to have more left over because the pressure of the field of horses. Some horses don't mind it, but a lot of horses don't like to be in tight. They don't like to be pressured. And it's like you when you're playing tag. You're getting chased by somebody. It's anxiety and stressful. But when you're chasing the other person, it's not so much because you're going to get them. It's the one in front. But if you're left alone running, you're like, I can take a breather. I feel like horses are like that. They feel that kind of pressure and they don't necessarily enjoy that.
Relax, their heart rate ain't up as high.
The most important thing is just to make them happy. Like with Game On Dude, I would, he'd break kind of slow, then he'd make that 7/8 move, but I'd let him do it because now he's by himself. He's happy. But you put horses around him, he's a fighter and his heart rate and he gets more intense. His body gets tighter. He's more anxious. But when he's alone, his ears go up. He's taking a breather. That in a race is dynamite. And
so it's just as important for someone like me who's watching races and trying to study. It's just as important how hard or easy a horse may be doing something as it is what the clock says.
Right. Yep. Watch their ears. Their ears will tell you
a lot. Yeah. Okay. And I was on a horse the other day at Gulfstream, and I was in a race and I got blocked and I got boxed and I couldn't, every time I tried to get out, another one came and I just couldn't get out. I'm like, wow, I had a really rough trip. Then the next time I rode him, I said, now this horse is going to win. I knew it. As soon as I got on him, I said, all I got to do is get a clean trip. And I went a little wider than I normally would want to do, but the horse was free, clear. I won the race. I didn't get in trouble. I wasn't pressured. And it was the same kind of horses, just I got a better trip.
You know what else is so interesting about racing that's a little different than other sports? In other sports, everybody's on the same team. You're in the locker room together. They're mostly team sports. In sports that are not team sports, two prize fighters, they're in 2 separate locker rooms before the fight. You are all in the same room, and I assume friendly and there's a camaraderie around the room, but yet there's that competitiveness. And then once the gate opens, it's really every man for himself because you ride with no contracts, no guarantees. I mean, how competitive it is. I realize how competitive it is. So how does that dynamic play out, like from the room to the racetrack, if you follow what I'm saying?
You hit it right on the head. I think, most of us are just acquaintances, especially on, around the racetrack and stuff like that. Now off the racetrack, it's like we're family. You mess with us and we'll, you mess with my buddy and I'm on his side. But
Right.
Once we get in the jocks room or in the gate, like you said, the gate's open, I got to beat you because guess what? If you beat me every time, you're going to take all my business. So
And there's
I have no friends.
I think there's a respect though too. Like
Yes.
as jockeys, we know that we got to perform out there, but we can be friends in the room too. But we all kind of know, like the other day I was in a race with Paco and I made it. He was on the inside and I was outside going into the turn and I wanted him to get out and he had enough horse to be in. And so I made it tight. I kind of bounced him off the rail a little bit. He ended up getting in. He ended up winning the race. But after we were galloping out, going off the turf course onto the dirt, I said, and I don't want to make enemies with Paco. I said, are you okay? I know I made it a little tight on you. He says, Chantal, I will do the same to you. You have to do your job. So it's like, we all get it, but we don't want to hurt each other either. And we don't want to hurt the horses because longevity, taking 1,400-pound animals and slamming into each other, we know the fine line. You don't want to cross it. And these horses go home and I don't want them to go to the stall and be sore and hurt. They're not football players. They don't have padding. So I get race riding. And what I love about really riding with great riders is it's like a flock of birds. You can go together and there's race riding, but slamming into each other, putting a horse so close to the rail that they, could jump it. None of us want to hurt the horses because, that's our living.
Right.
So hopefully, all of us look at the longevity of it. And I think Britlin, Corey's daughter, wants to say, I want her to come say hi. And meet you.
We're going to get the whole family show. Hey, all
She's
right.
hungry.
She's hungry, that's why.
Yeah.
There you go.
We won't hold you up. I just have one.
No, this is Britlin. She wants to say hi.
Hi, Britlin.
Hi there.
Welcome to Pass the Wire TV.
Thank
I
you.
wish we were a more famous show and I could say that you were a star, but we're not quite there yet. But if we ever do get there, you will have been one of the people that made it happen.
That's right. You'll be looking at this in a year or two from now saying, I was on there.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah.
And you will be able to watch yourself on YouTube TV and your friends. So that should be kind of cool.
For sure.
All right, guys, I'm gonna step out.
Wait, no, Corey, wait, I got to keep you one more second.
You're good.
The whip rule. Okay, my take on it was, how do they even change the crop rule without having a bunch of riders at the table deciding what's safe, what's fair, and what's appropriate? So if we could just leave off on that and you both weigh in on that. I mean, am I nuts for thinking that? Are they nuts? I mean, I think it's a safety issue. I mean, it's just so much goes into it. How do they not have riders involved in that decision? That makes no sense to me.
I think it's nuts. I've been riding for 30 years and I'm a whip rider, in which I don't abuse one that's not responding. When you're done, you're done.
Right.
But I won a race the other day, and if the whip rule was in effect, I think I'd have run fourth. Just because I hit him 1, 2, 3, and every time I would hit him, you could feel him reaching. And you ain't even got to hit him hard, but you're just doing that. So I'm doing what's working. And then, so why would I stop doing what's working? And I got the bettors that bet on me, the owners and trainers who put money on, and say I get to the 16th pole and I've hit him 6 times already. Now I have to stop hitting. The horse is gonna win. But when I stop hitting, he slows down.
It's really bothering.
So
it's
I told the guys here that it should be, you should have a steward that was a rider or somebody who knows that can make a judgment call. If your horse is responding and you're not just beating up on a horse because you're mad at him or anything like that, especially from the 8th pole or 16th pole home, you should have to be able to do whatever you need to do to win, because you've got the public's money on the line, the owners and the trainers and everybody. But just for instance, I had twice at Saratoga and I was struggling. I couldn't win a race. I got beat a head bob on a cheaper horse who was a plotter, and the whip rule was 5 times in a row. Well, I hit him 6 times, and they fined me $500 each time. And I just got, the horse was, if I wouldn't have hit him that many times, I'd have got beat 2 lengths. But I was trying for my owners and trainers, and the horse was responding. I should have never been fined, because I'm putting it on the line for the public, everyone.
I also just want to add to that, as a jockey, when I ride a filly, I use my soft touch whip, which is a soft touch crop, which has the cushion in it. And I actually feel like I get more out of a filly because it doesn't hurt them, and it doesn't, it's got a bit of a noise to it. And I feel like they actually appreciate it. And then also, like, it's just not the same response. And a filly is more delicate, and they're pretty honest fillies. And I also find flagging them is just as good. And also just that taking that away, especially on a baby, sometimes babies just want to stop or make a right turn or a left turn, and it's not just to go straight or make the horse accelerate, and they don't know where the wire is, they don't know where the quarter pole is.
You got to keep their focus on
And
you.
yeah, and also when another rider's coming up the rail and you're not going anywhere, you need some guidance to get out of the way. And having a crop is like having a steering wheel. It's not, none of us want to hurt them. We want to encourage them, and they don't know exactly where the wire is either, and where they don't know all these things that we know. And it's a very touchy subject for sure. And we love the game, but if you were to take or tell a person, why don't you take your Rottweiler or your Pit Bull, because these aren't just normal, everyday Pomeranians
With no leash and make them
or
walk by your side.
Yorkie. Yeah, go take it, walk it down the street without a leash. How's that going to go for you? They're not little ponies. These are thoroughbred, incredibly talented, incredibly strong 1,400-pound animals that have a mind of their own. And we are 110 pounds to 115 pounds. So I'm telling you, if you, I don't know the relationship, the size of a crop to a human body, if it's like this big or we're not trying to hurt them. We are just trying to not kill ourselves out there, because it's just so much going on, and just seeing it with their eye. Having one is so important, and then being able to use it a little bit. I don't mind if they put a rule in, like 6 times or 7 times, whatever.
Should be 10 or 12.
Whatever they make it, but taking it away, oh my God, you're taking away our steering wheel.
And don't the stewards have the right? Without these new whip rules, if I'm a steward and I see a rider do something that I think is abusive with a whip, didn't I always have the right to call him in anyway? Why do we need that?
For sure.
For sure.
If I'm doing my job and I see somebody, if I'm doing my job as a steward and I see somebody abusing a horse, I have the right to call him in and say, hey, what's up with that? We're going to fine you.
And they should.
So what? I don't understand the rule, and I love the Rottweiler. I have a Rottweiler and a Cane Corso, which is probably best way to describe a Cane Corso was like a pit bull on steroids. I would never take them out without being on leash. Just it would be irresponsible. It would be stupid. And my dogs are well behaved and well trained, but I would never do it.
Yep. And try to take a horse, like even though you're taking you're taking your dog to the vet, they don't want to go through that door. How are you going to get them in the gate? It's not so much that they don't want to do it. They're just afraid of what they don't know. And especially first time starters, they don't know what they don't know. But once they do it, and an older horse, of course, they know, they walk in like a champ. But it's a bit
an attention getter.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys have been great. You guys, I feel bad. Britlin wants to eat dinner.
That's it. It's time for dinner. And I just got one last question I'll leave you with. Who had more birdies out on the course today?
Did you have any?
I birdied 18.
I birdied one. I birdied.
She did birdie number 2.
Number 2.
Yeah.
So only 2
There you
birdies.
go.
We're even.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, thanks you guys for coming on. All 3 of you. We really enjoyed having you on the show at Pass the Wire TV. And until next time, I'd love to continue this. So John and I will have you down the road sometime, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well,
we
we're
would
so
love to have you,
grateful
Ed.
and we wish you all the best. Goodbye.
No, we wish you guys the best. Enjoy dinner, and thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it, and safe trips out there. Thank you,
Thank
Britlin.
you. Thank you.
Best
Bye.
of luck. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Vino Rosso has taken the lead, and it's a vintage performance by Vino Rosso.
Nobody